It seems like everyone's talking about the Yankees and they're talking about the Mets, and here you guys are at the break with 60 wins. And it's kind of like, ho hum, there's the Dodgers out west doing their thing.
And I don't think we'd have it any other way. I think that it's great for those two New York teams to play well. It's good for baseball. It's good for their markets. And for us to kind of sit in the background, wait in the wings, I got no problem being under the radar because not many times you get the Dodgers to be under the radar. But, yeah, when you get those two New York teams playing well and relevant, that's no problem for us as long as we're relevant in October.
Now, speaking of a guy who's been relevant in October, there's a pitcher on your team by the name of Clayton Kershaw. I'm sure you're aware of him. You've been lucky to manage him for all these years. The greatest pitcher in Dodgers history, which is saying a lot with all the pitchers you guys have had. I was wondering if you had like a favorite Clayton Kershaw moment or memory that you have with him.
I think it's interesting is I've seen him throw many pitches, make many starts, but running out of that bullpen in Texas after we won the World Series. So the irony is I've got many memories of him as a pitcher, but the one that stands out is him running out, not having thrown a pitch. So this is after he was in the bullpen, potentially pitching in that Game 6 game in the World Series. So Julio Urias closed it out, Clayton running onto the field in tears, and just me hugging him, embracing him, telling him how proud I was and how much I wanted it for him. He's just been such a great player on the field, off the field, as an advocate for baseball. He does so much for charity, and no better ball player.
What's it like going to pull him from a game? Is it like, okay, I got to go out?
Not easy. I think, those superstars, the thing about them is that they always think and know that they're the best option. But as a manager, you're still kind of appreciating that, but also kind of looking at the health and the game itself and what's behind them. So it's never a fun conversation. But over the last 7 years, it's gotten to be a little bit easier as we've learned more about each other. But I will tell you, Andy, is like the days that he starts is probably the most stressed out I get of my managing.
I want to talk to you a little bit about baseball in general. So I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but this year there's been a lot of bad calls by umpires. It happens, but it seems like this year there's been a lot. And Commissioner Manfred said recently that they're thinking about bringing robot umps. And it's easy for me as a fan to be like, we need robot umps. It's going to fix everything. But you're in this day in and day out. You're a manager. Like, what do you think is the best formula to kind of get those bad calls out of the game? Is it robot umps? Is it human umps? Is it a mix?
I think the replay has been good. I think that as far as the strike zone, I still like the human element of it. I think, it's the umpires are now victim of what's going on in our world as far as everything is coming to the forefront. Everything is captured now. Everything's talked about. So I don't think that umpires are any worse than they have been, and that's part of the human error. But I just think that everything now that isn't done perfect, it's always brought to light. And, people nowadays look to pile on. It's a lot easier these days.
If they go to robots, I mean, what are you going to do as a manager? Yell at a computer? Like what?
Yeah, exactly. I won't be the one yelling at the robot strike zone, getting tossed for the robot. And I think it's one of those things. It's be careful what you wish for type thing. If you get the robot umpire, because they're doing it in AAA right now, and it hasn't been received really well. So we'll see. And I still think we got a couple years before that, if it is in place at the major league level.
What do you think? Do you think that this is the hardest time to be a professional baseball hitter? I mean, there's so many pitchers in this league now that are throwing 101, 102 mile sliders and changeups. And, you got a couple guys in your staff that just throw nasty stuff. Do you think this is the hardest time to be a hitter in Major League Baseball?
We match up so much better than they used to. There's a lot of statistics and information to kind of how to attack hitters nowadays. So, yeah, it's as difficult to hit as it ever has been, even given how talented these athletes are.
Yeah, then they have the defensive shift. So back when I was a kid, you'd see a ball go up the middle, and you're like, there's a single. Now there's a second baseman there. Boom, you're out.
Oh, you're the same way. We're contemporaries. So we grew up seeing the same thing where, there's the base hit up the middle, but now you can do everything right, and you're still not being rewarded with a hit.
Are you for the changes in the defensive shifts and whatnot?
You know what? I'm okay with it going back to the way it was as far as no shifting. I was a guy that played the game that could manipulate the bat. So if they're going to give you the other side of the field, then you can take it with the base hit the other way. But now, where there's so much slug involved in the game, guys just don't have that skill set. So, pace of play, ball in motion, ball in play. If we can promote the stolen base, action, I'm all for it.
You talked about the stolen base. I'm from Boston. You're a hero to me and to many people in Boston for what you did. How often do you think of that stolen base you had against the Yankees?
I don't think about it. It gets brought up a lot, so I don't have to think about it. I do remember early on, I was like, man, I stole a lot more than one base in my baseball career. But as time has gone on, you just learn, like anything, Andy. You appreciate the situations that you're in and accomplishments. So for me to be recognized with that 2014 with the stolen base to sort of change the tide, I never get tired of hearing about it anymore. I hear about it pretty much every day, certainly during the baseball season, and I'm forever grateful.
Hey sports fans, if you want to watch more sports seriously, be sure to check out these clips right here. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel to see all the great content from us here at USA Today Sports.